The Persian Gulf, 2:18 a.m. Monday. The nuclear negotiation framework had collapsed 41 hours earlier. Not gradually, in a single session, over a single paragraph of proposed inspection language that the Iranian delegation rejected without counteroffer, and walked out of the room in Vienna at 11:23 p.m. on a Saturday. The collapse was not unexpected by the intelligence community. What was unexpected was the speed of what followed. 41 hours. That was the window between the breakdown of 3 years of diplomatic process and what IRGC Aerospace Force commanders had designated Operation Fajr-9. The name had existed in operational planning documents for 2 years. The targeting packages had been updated 6 weeks earlier. The mobile launchers had been moving into pre-surveyed firing positions across 4 Iranian provinces for 11 days, under cover of what satellite imagery assessed as routine military exercises. The exercises were real. They were also cover. From Semnan province in north-central Iran, 22 Shahab-3 medium-range ballistic missiles stood in their launch configuration, liquid-fueled, requiring 30-minute preparation windows that had been completed under darkness over the preceding 4 hours. From Fars province in the south, 31 Hoveyzeh ground-launched cruise missiles were positioned on mobile platforms dispersed across agricultural terrain, their inertial navigation systems preloaded with coordinates. From Hormozgan province along the coast, 44 Fateh 313 solid-fuel ballistic missiles were ready on their transporter erector launchers, each requiring less than 15 minutes from order to launch. And from 3 IRGC naval vessels operating in the Central Gulf under the pretense of maritime exercises, 16 Noor anti-ship missiles were armed and targeted. 113 weapons, aimed at 2 targets: Udeid Air Base in Qatar, the largest U.S. air installation in the Middle East, hosting the Combined Air Operations Center that coordinated all U.S. air activity across CENTCOM's area of responsibility, and the Carrier Strike Group operating in the Northern Gulf, 67 miles east of Bahrain. The IRGC's strategic calculation was, within its own framework, internally consistent. The collapse of nuclear negotiations had left Iranian leadership facing an accelerating economic crisis, requiring a demonstration of resolve. A strike achieving meaningful damage against the CAOC at Udeid, the nerve center of U.S. air operations in the region, would simultaneously demonstrate capability, impose operational costs, and force a return to negotiations on more favorable terms. The calculation assumed U.S. political leadership would choose de-escalation over a comprehensive counter-operation. It was the same assumption embedded in IRGC operational doctrine since 2006. It had been wrong in every war game the U.S. had run against it. Iranian planners did not have access to those war games. The operational timing exploited 3 real conditions: a scheduled 47-minute reduction in E-3 Sentry AWACS coverage over the Northern Gulf, a known Aegis destroyer software update cycle that would take that ship's combat system offline for approximately 22 minutes, and the political noise following the negotiation collapse, which Iranian planners assessed would delay U.S. authorization for a response. The first condition was real. The second was real. The third was real. None of them mattered in the way Iranian planners had modeled. At 2:18 a.m., the Shahab-3 batteries in Semnan fired first, all 22 in a 68-second window. The liquid fuel exhaust plumes rose above the high desert terrain, visible from 250 kilometers. 11 seconds later, the Fateh 313 batteries in Hormozgan fired their salvo. 14 seconds after that, the Hoveyzeh cruise missiles lifted from their platforms in Fars province. The IRGC naval vessels began their Noor launches at 2:19 a.m. The space-based infrared system satellite, covering the Persian Gulf region, registered the Shahab-3 plumes at 2:18 a.m., the same minute they launched. There was no delay, no gap exploited. The AWACS reduction had created a window in airborne radar coverage, not in space-based infrared detection. The SBIRS system operates in wavelengths that no weather system, no electronic countermeasure, and no scheduling gap affects. It requires only heat. 22 Shahab-3 motors burning simultaneously in the Semnan desert generated a thermal signature that the system had been specifically calibrated to detect. The infrared systems operator at Buckley Space Force Base was 31 years old and had been in this role for 2 years. At 2:18 a.m., his display showed 22 simultaneous thermal ignitions in north-central Iran, followed 11 seconds later by 44 ignitions along the Hormozgan coast. His training specified that 2 geographically separated simultaneous launch clusters constituted a mass launch scenario. He initiated the alert at 2:18 a.m. The alert reached CENTCOM, the carrier flag bridge, and the CAOC at Udeid simultaneously. The Aegis software update had been suspended 40 minutes earlier when the destroyer's tactical action officer flagged anomalous IRGC naval vessel positioning. The ship was fully combat effective by 2:19 a.m. 60 seconds after the first Shahab-3 launches, 113 tracks had been correlated and distributed across the theater defensive network through the cooperative engagement capability. Every Aegis-equipped vessel in the Gulf was sharing tracking data simultaneously. The Thayad battery at Udeid had its fire control radar in full engagement mode. The CAOC itself, the target the IRGC most wanted to neutralize, was already executing its dispersal protocol, shifting critical command functions to alternate nodes at Al Dhafra and Eskin Village Air Base. The protocol had been exercised 14 times in the preceding 3 years. Weapons release authorization transmitted from CENTCOM at 2:19 a.m. Pre-authorized response protocol. No deliberation. The political noise following the negotiation collapse had not delayed authorization by a single minute. The SM-3 Block 2A engagement began at 2:20 a.m. The Shahab-3 ballistic missiles were the highest priority threat. Their trajectories toward Al-Udeid placed them on time-of-flight paths. The SM-3 could intercept in mid-course, above the atmosphere. 18 SM-3s launched from 2 Aegis destroyers in the first salvo. At $27.1 million per interceptor, that was $488 million of ordnance airborne within 90 seconds of the adversary's first launch. Iran had expended an estimated $110 to $132 million in Shahab-3 inventory. The U.S. was expending nearly 4 times that value to neutralize it. 15 of the 18 SM-3 intercepts achieved intercept. 3 Shahab-3 warheads survived mid-course. One had followed a slightly depressed trajectory, lower altitude, shorter time of flight, that compressed the SM-3's engagement window. The other 2 had been assigned SM-3 intercepts that achieved nominal guidance but failed terminal phase acquisition due to the Shahab-3's basic re-entry vehicle tumbling behavior, generating a smaller radar cross-section than the engagement algorithm expected. Both entered the THAAD engagement envelope over Al-Udeid. THAAD engaged the 3 surviving ballistic threats at 2:21 a.m. 2 were intercepted cleanly. The third, the depressed trajectory Shahab-3, entered THAAD's engagement envelope at a geometry that pushed the battery to its engagement boundary. The THAAD battery commander at Al-Udeid watched the track on his console. His battery launched 2 interceptors simultaneously at 2:21 a.m. The first achieved intercept at the outer edge of the engagement envelope. The warhead fragmented. Fragments continued on a ballistic path. PAC-3MSE engaged the debris field at 2:22 a.m., neutralizing the largest fragments. 3 smaller pieces impacted the Al-Udeid perimeter. 2 on open ground, 1 on the outer taxiway surface, producing a 1.4-meter gouge in the pavement. The runway remained operational. No personnel were injured. The Fateh 313 engagement against Al-Udeid was occurring simultaneously on a compressed timeline. 44 solid fuel missiles, approximately 9 minutes of flight time. 4 PAC-3 MSE batteries around Al-Udeid's perimeter were the primary defense layer. Combined optimal engagement rate, 48 missiles per minute. What made the engagement non-routine was the cluster design. Iranian launch timing had been coordinated to deliver the Fateh salvo in 5 sequential groups of 8 to 10 missiles, each group separated by 90 seconds, forcing each battery to engage a full group, expend a significant portion of its ready load, then face the next group with reduced magazine capacity. The Eastern PAC-3 battery engaged its first group of 9 Fateh 313s at 2:27 a.m. All 9 were intercepted between 11 and 16 kilometers altitude. Ready load after first group, reduced by 9 interceptors. The second group arrived at 2:28 a.m. 7 missiles in this group. 6 intercepted. 1 Fateh 313 reached terminal phase. PAC-3 engaged it at close range and neutralized it at 4 kilometers altitude. The warhead fragmented. Debris impacted the Al-Udeid northern perimeter fence line. No personnel injured. The Eastern battery's ready load was now at its reload threshold. It reported status to the sector coordinator. The third group was redirected to the northern and western batteries. The system absorbed the load shift without a gap. 39 of 44 Fateh 313 missiles were intercepted before reaching terminal phase. 5 reached terminal phase. 3 were neutralized by PAC, 3 at close range. 2 impacted within Al-Udeid's perimeter. The first struck an unoccupied vehicle staging area, generating a crater 12 meters in diameter. The second struck the edge of a taxiway connector, producing a 1.8-meter surface rupture. Engineering teams assessed both sites within 19 minutes. Primary runway declared continuously operational. Al-Udeid's flight operations did not stop. At 2:19 a.m., the Hoveyzeh cruise missiles and Noor anti-ship missiles had been tracked continuously by the E-3 Sentry AWACS since launch. The 47-minute reduction in AWACS orbit had not yet begun when the launches occurred, leaving the airborne radar fully operational. The cruise missiles were flying at 20 to 35 meters above terrain and sea surface, their profiles designed to defeat ground-based radar coverage. The AWACS altitude negated this. Every track was visible. SM-6 dual-mode interceptors from the Aegis escort screen began engaging the sea-skimming Noor anti-ship missiles at 2:21 a.m., targeting the naval threat to the carrier first. Carrier Air Wing FA-18 EF aircraft already vectored toward the Hoveyzeh cruise missile tracks. The 16 Noor anti-ship missiles from the IRGC naval vessels were engaged by SM-6 and CRAM systems on the carrier escort screen. 14 were intercepted at ranges between 6 and 22 kilometers from the carrier. 2 survived to close range. The carrier's CIWS systems engaged both at 2:24 a.m. at ranges of 1.3 and 2.1 kilometers. Both were intercepted. Fragments from the closer intercept struck the carrier's forward flight deck surface. No personnel were on that section of the flight deck at the time of impact. Damage was assessed as superficial, paint and non-structural deck plating. The carrier's flight operations were unaffected. The 31 Hoveyzeh GLCMs were the most distributed threat. Their cruise trajectories from Fars province toward Al-Udeid required overland flight across UAE territory, with terrain-following guidance keeping them below radar coverage for most of the route. The E-3 Sentry maintained track throughout. F/A-18E/F aircraft from the carrier air wing, operating at altitude with AIM-120D AMRAAM missiles, engaged the Hoveyzeh salvo as it crossed the coast into UAE airspace. 23 Hoveyzeh missiles were intercepted by carrier air wing aircraft between 2:23 a.m. and 2:31 a.m. 8 survived to the Al-Udeid terminal defense zone. THAAD and PAC-3 MSE engaged all 8. 6 were intercepted. 2 reached terminal phase within Al-Udeid's perimeter, 1 impacting an unoccupied storage area, 1 impacting a maintenance apron surface. Both produced craters. No personnel were injured. No aircraft were damaged. By 2:35 a.m., 17 minutes after the first Iranian launch, the adversary's salvo was effectively neutralized. Of 113 weapons launched, 107 had been intercepted across multiple defensive layers. 6 had achieved some form of effect. 3 taxiway and apron surface impacts at Al-Udeid, 1 perimeter fence impact, 1 carrier forward deck fragment impact, and 1 Al-Udeid outer boundary debris impact. U.S. installations rendered non-operational, 0. U.S. personnel injured, 0. The CAOC's dispersal protocol had distributed its critical functions across 3 nodes before any weapon reached its terminal phase. The target the IRGC had most wanted to neutralize had been operationally uncatchable before the first missile landed. In the CENTCOM command center, the counter-operation planning that had been running since 2:19 a.m. was now the primary thread. The designation, Iron Meridian. Pre-planned. 19 months in development. 178 aim points across 121 Iranian military installations. Full activation authority received at 2:36 a.m. 4 B-1B Lancer bombers had been on airborne alert from Al-Udeid since 1:15 a.m. A precautionary posture initiated when the IRGC naval vessel positioning had been flagged 3 hours earlier. Each carried 24 JAS SMER air-launched cruise missiles. At 2:36 a.m., all 4 received their strike packages. Within 9 minutes, 96 JAS SMER missiles were inbound to Iranian military targets across Semnan, Fars, and Hormozgan provinces, the 3 launch corridors from which Operation Fajr-9 had originated. By minute 19 from first launch, the U.S. had expended $488 million in SEM-3 interceptors, $287 million in SEM-6, PAC-3 MSE, and CIWS ordnance, and was adding $130.6 million in JASS-MER 96 missiles at $1.36 million each. Running total, $905.6 million in munitions expenditure, climbing. 2 B-2 Spirit bombers that had been operating from Diego Garcia on a long-duration patrol received updated tasking at 2:40 a.m. Their assigned targets in Iron Meridian, the Shahab 3 production and maintenance facility at Shahid Bagheri Industrial Group in Tehran's southeastern suburbs, a military-industrial target that the targeting package had designated for GBU 31JDAM, and the IRGC Aerospace Force Command Bunker Complex in the Al-Borz range north of Tehran. Assigned 2 GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrators. IA-18G Growler electronic attack aircraft reached their jamming stations at 2:38 a.m., 180 kilometers from the Iranian coast at altitudes outside Iranian SAM engagement envelopes. S-300 PMU, 2 batteries in Tehran's air defense ring, began reporting track file degradation within 4 minutes. Bavar 373 long-range SAM systems along the northwestern coast experienced guidance data corruption across 3 coverage sectors. U.S. Cybercom was simultaneously executing pre-positioned intrusion packages against Iranian Air Defense Command software. Progressive, irreversible degradation rather than single-moment disruption. The Iranian air defense network was going blind while 96 JAS SMERs crossed into airspace from the southwest. HARM anti-radiation missiles launched from F/A-18F aircraft at 2:41 a.m., targeting active Iranian early warning and SOYAM guidance radars along the strike corridor. 8 HARM launches. 6 achieved guidance lock on active radar emitters. 2 guided on decoy emitters. Iranian operators had activated corner reflectors, a countermeasure present in the intelligence database. The targeting solution for the two protected real radars was updated within 6 minutes using Growler geolocation data. A second harm pair was tasked and launched. Both guided accurately. The JASSM-ER first impacts occurred at 2:43 a.m. The Shahab-3 launch sites in Semnan province, the batteries that had fired at Udeid less than 25 minutes earlier, began receiving precision engagement. The mobile launchers from those batteries had displaced immediately after launch, per IRGC doctrine. The fixed support infrastructure had not displaced. Survey equipment, fuel storage, command shelters, communication nodes, maintenance structures. Each received an assigned weapon from the Iron Meridian target list. Seismographs at Tehran University registered multiple 1.6 to 2.1 magnitude events between 2:43 a.m. and 2:58 a.m. as the engagement sequence progressed through the Semnan corridor. The Hoveyzeh launch sites in Fars province received their Iron Meridian engagement at 2:47 a.m. The Fateh 313 positions along the Hormozgan coast received theirs at 2:49 a.m. The IRGC naval vessels that had launched Noor missiles had not displaced. They were surface vessels tracked continuously since 2:18 a.m. At 2:44 a.m., Harpoon anti-ship missiles from the carrier air wing engaged all three simultaneously. All three ceased to be operational naval platforms. The GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator engagement of the IRGC Aerospace Force Command bunker in the Alborz range occurred at 3:04 a.m. The B-2 Spirit carrying 2 MOPs had been orbiting at 52,000 feet in holding pattern for 22 minutes, waiting for Growler jamming coverage to reach the northern Iranian air defense zones. When coverage was confirmed at 3:02 a.m., the aircraft descended to weapons release altitude. The first MOP released at 3:04 a.m. It penetrated 58 meters before detonating. The second MOP released at 3:04 a.m., 12 seconds after the first, targeting the same facility to ensure structural completion through any residual reinforcement. Seismographs across northern Iran registered a 2.9 magnitude event at 3:04 a.m. The IRGC Aerospace Force Command structure lost its primary coordination node. This was the moment the adversary attempted its reserve contingency. The IRGC had maintained a separate missile battery, 12 Qiam-1 ballistic missiles on mobile launchers in the mountainous terrain of Lorestan province in western Iran, specifically designated as a second strike reserve. The Qiam-1 is a liquid-fueled, short-range ballistic missile with sufficient range to reach U.S. facilities in Kuwait and northern Saudi Arabia. The reserve battery commander had been monitoring communications from the primary command structure. When communications degraded beyond usable threshold at 3:06 a.m., a consequence of both the Alborz bunker engagement and the ongoing U.S. cybercom operations against the communications infrastructure, he interpreted the silence as authorization to proceed with the reserve strike protocol. He ordered Qiam-1 launch preparation. Preparation time, 25 minutes for liquid-fueled systems. The reserve battery was detected by an RQ-4 Global Hawk orbiting western Iran at 60,000 feet since 1:45 a.m. Its sensor feed reached the CAOC's alternate node at Al-Dhafra at 3:07 a.m. The Lorestan battery was not in the Iron Meridian target list. It had not been a catalogued asset. The targeting coordinator confirmed the Qiam-1 signatures from the RQ-4 imagery and assigned it as an immediate priority target at 3:08 a.m. 4 JAS SMER missiles from a B-1B returning to Al-Udeid were retasked mid-flight via data link. 2 of the 4 were successfully retasked before their point of no return on the original trajectory. 2 continued to their original aim points. The 2 retasked JASSM-ERs impacted the Lorestan battery site at 3:24 a.m. The Qiam-1 missiles were at 17 minutes into their preparation cycle. They did not complete it. 2 additional JASSM ERs arrived at 3:27 a.m., confirming the battery's neutralization. By 3:15 a.m., 154 of 178 Iron Meridian aim points had been confirmed engaged. The remaining 24 were distributed across hardened tunnel facilities in the Zagros and Alborz mountain ranges, facilities where decades of engineering had placed critical infrastructure beyond the reach of JASSMER class ordnance. The B-2s were assigned to these targets with GBU-28 bunker-penetrating weapons and small-diameter bombs for exposed surface infrastructure. Engagement of the mountain complex continued through 3:31 a.m. 8 of the deepest tunnel facilities were assessed as potentially surviving the engagement, their access points sealed, their supporting infrastructure neutralized, their operational connectivity severed, but their deepest chambers potentially physically intact. This outcome was documented without surprise. At 3:31 a.m., the running munitions expenditure total reached $1.44 billion. The preliminary damage assessment was calculating Iranian military losses between $6.8 billion and $9.2 billion in replacement value. 44 of 51 catalogued ballistic missile launch facilities, 8 of 11 IRGC Aerospace Force command nodes, the Hoveyzeh cruise missile staging infrastructure in Fars province, all 3 IRGC naval vessels, and the Alborz command bunker that had coordinated Fajr-9. Exchange ratio, approximately 1 to 5.6. The adversary had expended $480 million in missile inventory to achieve 6 pavement impacts and 0 personnel losses. The response had cost $1.44 billion and reduced Iranian offensive missile capability by an estimated 71%. At 3:34 a.m., the Iranian military communications network stopped transmitting in any coordinated sense. Not a single dramatic severing, a progressive silencing over 76 minutes as radar systems were suppressed, communication nodes rendered inoperable, and human operators lost contact with adjacent sectors. Some radar systems were still physically operational. Their transmitters were intact. But no command architecture remained to translate observations into orders. Observation without command is data with no destination. The IRGC Aerospace Force had attempted to coordinate a defense of its own facilities as Iron Meridian progressed. Its air defense network, progressively blinded by Growler jamming and U.S. cybercom operations since 2:38 a.m., could not engage JASSM-ER cruise missiles at terrain-following altitudes below 100 meters. Its surviving SAM batteries received fragmented guidance from a command network, degrading faster than it could adapt. By 3:20 a.m., surviving sector commanders had stopped receiving guidance at all, operating on local initiative without shared situational awareness, producing isolated responses the strike package had been designed to route around. The adversary did not surrender. There was no declaration. The command network did not go dark in a single moment. It became progressively incoherent, then silent. The last transmission logged by U.S. Signals Intelligence from an IRGC Aerospace Force command element was at 3:41 a.m. An encrypted voice radio message from a surviving radar station commander reporting he had lost contact with all adjacent stations and requesting guidance. There was no response in the signals record. The station transmitted for 11 more minutes. Then it stopped. Final Iron Meridian weapon impact logged at 3:33 a.m., 75 minutes after the first IRGC launch. Time from first adversary launch to first U.S. intercept, 90 seconds. Time from detection to counter-operation initiation, 18 minutes. Time to final U.S. weapon impact, 75 minutes. Adversary weapons launched, 113. Intercepted, 107, 94.7%. Achieving effect, 5.3%. 3 taxiway and apron impacts at Al Udeid, 1 perimeter fence impact, 1 carrier forward deck fragment impact, 1 outer boundary debris impact. U.S. installations rendered non-operational, 0. CAOC operational status. Fully distributed and functional throughout on alternate nodes. Carrier Strike Group operational status. Full combat tempo throughout. U.S. personnel injured, 0. Iron Meridian aim points engaged, 178. Confirmed neutralized, 162 of 178, 91%. Deep tunnel facilities sealed but potentially intact. 8. Iranian ballistic missile sites below operational threshold, 44 of 51, 86.3%. IRGC Aerospace Force command nodes neutralized. 8 of 11. IRGC naval vessels engaged, 3 of 3. Integrated Air Defense Network, non-functional as coordinated system. U.S. munitions expended, $1.44 billion. Iranian military infrastructure replacement value assessed lost, $6.8 to $9.2 billion. Exchange ratio, approximately 1 to 5.6. U.S. personnel injured, 0. U.S. aircraft lost, 0. U.S. vessels lost, 0. The adversary's calculation contained 3 real conditions and 1 foundational error. The AWACS reduction window, the Aegis software update cycle, the post-negotiation political noise, all were genuine intelligence observations. The foundational error, the assumption that real conditions translate directly into operational advantage. The AWACS window had not begun when the launches occurred. The Aegis update had been suspended 40 minutes earlier. Political authorization had been pre-delegated. Real conditions do not produce operational advantage against a system designed to function through them. 75 minutes. That was the duration of the adversary's most consequential military decision in 2 decades. The missile program that had defined Iran's strategic posture for 30 years had been reduced by 71% across all operational categories. The remaining 29% was distributed across tunnel facilities that had survived, but lost their command connectivity and operational context. Capability without command architecture is inventory. It is not a deterrent. The negotiation resumed 14 days later. The terms were not more favorable. The inspection language rejected in Vienna was accepted. The arithmetic that produced that outcome was not complex. It had simply been demonstrated.